It was my pork chop. What is
Yep.
your pork chop? That's the whole place. Yeah.
I don't doubt that a bit. Okay. Does anybody need paper to write on?
Yes.
Well, I'll just offer the name.
Should have had it passed out.
No, you should try that time.
Well, Chris said it wasn't printed yet.
It won't print. We're down. We're sending some others around. You can use these in place of others. Two colors.
Don't pass that.
You're already hypothermic. Your core body is strong. Luckily, your
It
heart's
is, I'm
not.
down to 65
Your
degrees.
heart's not exerting any energy. It's actually saving cells, so you don't have to regenerate your red blood cell count. Your cardiac enzymes are stabilizing.
Yeah, whatever.
We induce hypothermia to help the body.
How does that help the brain? Breathe.
It requires less effort to create oxygen circulation to your brain. CO2 gas doesn't take less breathing. Correct. So
It's rough. I should do all this good stuff, and I just stay here watching.
I mean, I do. Pressure. You're talking about pressure.
I gotta put them all the way in my bag.
I'm too cold for
I
that.
gotta put them in the same bag.
Yeah, you're just talking about pressure.
Froze my brain.
Cause I would.
So,
Did you give them some?
I heard that.
as we go along tonight, I will need some reading,
Why you make nice
but I can't tell you what yet because we're not there. Let me look and just verify. Okay. So, what did we discuss last week? That's our first question. What did we discuss last week? Huh? Okay. We did discuss that. Anything else? Anybody know?
How much we forget after we read it.
We only retain about 10% over 2 weeks. She did retain that 10%. We'll see if she holds on to the remaining after the fact. Anybody else? What else did we talk about last week?
Tell you how much people retain when you go back to school.
Talked about Xanax.
We talked about the Xanax, the Xanax Bible effect. We did. Anything else we talked about? We talked about more than Xanax. What else did we talk about?
Pinball approach,
The pinball approach,
magic 8-ball approach.
the 8-ball approach,
Personal shopper approach.
the personal shoppers. Anything
Jack
else?
Sprat.
Huh?
Jack Sprat.
Yeah. The Jack Spratters. Any others? I will let some know what we need to read here shortly, but I've not got to that slide, so when I get there, I can tell us what we're going to look for. So, Tonight, we are looking at some, I guess we could say something a little bit of a different perspective. Because we also talked about last week about being a disciple. And a disciple is one that is known to be what is a disciple? What did we say that was? Huh?
A follower of Christ.
Yeah. What else does the definition of disciple come to be? That, huh? A learner and a scholar that adheres to the doctrines of another. To adhere to the doctrines of the Lord, a disciple had to be a scholar in what he was teaching them to be his disciples. So tonight, I just had some random thoughts this week of some things that may be out of the box tonight. We're going to look at for a minute, but get your mind stirred and thinking for a few minutes of some things. This is some interesting thoughts that ran through my mind one day, and don't ask me what I was doing because I don't remember. That wasn't in the 10% I retained. So the things that I did retain, I did write down so I could come back later and put them all together. But the first thing that I decided, just looking at it, is that if we really come down to the wire and look at things just for what they really are and what we say they really are, most people, and I'm including everybody that goes to church, most people come to church with the wrong idea. Don't they, Roger?
Sir.
They come to church and they've got the wrong idea. I've been thinking about this. The Lord has really meddled my mind on some things. I have observed many things in churches, many church services. If I only counted what me and Roger's been in between the singings and whatever appointments I've had and the appointments they've went with me on, I would hate to think, and back, I don't even remember how many places. I don't think y'all ever kept up with how many places y'all were singing. I don't know if you did. Did you ever keep up with that?
Few ups and downs.
Yeah. So, easily over 100 a year, right there. Just 100 appointments, I'd say a year, easy, because there were some weeks y'all went to the TV station, whatever else, and then did a funeral and blah, blah, blah. But I've really thought about the fact that the first thing that we have came to, having the wrong ideas when we come to church, is people are playing this like it is a spectator sport. That's the first problem. People are coming to church with the wrong idea of thinking that when they get here that they are coming to a spectator sport. If you go to a ball game as a spectator, what do you do?
Observe. People yell, scream.
Yeah. Chris says observe. You sit in your stadium seat or you stand up and holler at the refs, whatever you do, but you're spectating. You're not on the field. You're not on the court. You're not on the course. You're not in any part a player. You're spectating when you go to a sporting event. And we have seen this idolize itself into most people coming to church with the wrong idea. And I want to give you an example. Now, I just want to give you an example. And I'm speaking from just personal knowledge and experience of being in church. But the first thing that I thought of, now this is just the first example I thought of, is that right off the bat, if somebody gets up to sing a song, what do you expect?
Expect you to sing a song.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's the first thing. But if somebody's getting up in the church service to sing a song, what do you expect?
I think it would soften hearts, get your mind ready.
Okay. Most people, and this is just me observing, most people in a church service expect the singers to bless them. Is that right? If singers get up to sing, people expect that to bless them. It blessed my heart that you sang that song. I got such a blessing from that, what you got up and done. That's an expectation as a spectator. And then Here's the next one. When the preacher gets up, what do you think we expect then? What do y'all think?
Preach the word.
Okay, what do you expect? What's your expectations?
Here, sir.
Okay. Anybody else got anything? Just think about that for a minute. You expect a blessing from the singers, and now the preacher gets up, and what do you expect?
I expect a spiritual meal. I wanna learn something, I wanna be challenged.
So you expect them to move you.
I expect that.
The
Holy
challenge
Spirit, yeah,
comes-
Whenever the Holy Spirit shared with him,
Yes.
I guess of that.
Yes, but we expect out of the preacher something that's going to move us. Something that he is going to preach out of the Bible is going to move us. That's an expectation. As a spectator, have you? Because we're on the pew. Let me just put this into perspective as I thought this out. If I come to church, and I want to give this to you because this has ran through my mind before, but if I come to church this Sunday morning, let's just use that example. If I come to church this Sunday morning to preach, I could easily go home disappointed. Just from coming to church to preach. If I come to church to sing, I can go home disappointed. What happens, and this is a good example question for everybody in the room, what do you think that we should do if 4 preachers show up Sunday morning and all 4 tell us they have the message? All 4 of them?
Awful.
Okay. I'm asking this. This is good. That's a great answer.
All at one time.
All at one time if they want to. Okay. What do y'all think? Tell me what your answer is here.
I don't think you should all at one time, but you be trying to listen to
All 4. So maybe we should line them up. One could get up after the other.
Okay, yeah.
Something to that effect. Okay. What do y'all think about that? Tell me what you think. I've got 4 preachers in the house, showed up unannounced, no appointment, that says they have the message this morning. There's 4 here.
These all Baptist preachers.
Yeah. We'll even make it easy.
Gonna be there all day.
Well, let's just make it easy. Let's just say that it's 4 that we've had here before. We'll pull some. We'll say Bob Zavateri. We'll say Johnny Parker. I'll give you 4 people that's been in the pulpit here. No problem. No issue with them. And they come in. They say they have the message. 4 of them.
They obviously think.
What's the answer? Because if I'm gonna put this into play, and I'm gonna tell you why. If Steve, which he's gonna do, he's gonna get up and say, "Which one of you feel like preaching?" He's done it before. Preacher's sitting on the pew. Which one of y'all feel like preaching? They're gonna wrangle around and argue who's gonna do it. One of them's gonna get it. Okay. There's 3 others sitting there. Out of your experience of being in any church, in any service, what does the other 3 do? What do they do?
Hopefully they pray for him.
Yeah, but what did they do? Did they get up and preach? No, they don't. One does, but the other 3 don't. But all 4 came in the door. Same service, same time. They said they've got the message. So now, and I'm not going to use the word disappointed, but now they've left not doing what they told us they came led to do. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you the example of this, and this is fine. 3 people show up to sing and say, I just felt led to be here this morning. I've got a song I want to sing. How many of them will we get up and sing?
Probably all of them.
All of them. All 3 of them. All 4, whatever shows up. Yeah, all 4 of them get up and sing. Right? That's pretty common. Just notice this as we go. If I come here to do that thing, if I come here to do singing, preaching, teaching, whatever, that's what I come to do, then I can go home. For any reason, I can go home disappointed. What can I come here to do that I will not go home disappointed? What word was that? Worship. If I come to worship, and that's it, I don't have to go home disappointed. Very different mindset at that point. Not as a spectator. Spectator sport won't work in this system of word that we're going to use as our worship. And I'm just breaking some things through that routinely happen in churches. Let me give you another one that I've looked at. Choir sings. After the choir gets done singing, what happens? What's typically happens after the choir sings? Nope. Everybody comes in on the altar as the choir comes down, and they come on the altar for prayer. Okay. I just want us to think about this for a moment, as this really dwelled on my mind. That the average person in here, how many hours a day do y'all work? Yeah, well, you don't now, you're retired. But when you did, you worked what, 10-hour days? 10-hour days? What's normal? What do y'all work? Give me your times. 8 8. Mine are 12, 16, 24, 48, whatever it comes. It could be anything.
14 if there's 5 in.
That's it. So just think about this. I don't want to cause you anything extra that you've done at home, in your car, shopping, just the work day. You have been exposed in the world to everything. Easily 8 hours a day. I have to know, well, I know, I'm not going to have to think. I know. You all tell me. Now just think about this for a moment. Especially from your experience, you'll be able to say this. But don't you think that it takes a little longer than 90 seconds to unplug from the world and to get plugged into Him? Did we just flip it on like a switch? I've thought about this. People pray on the altar. How long are we on the altar? A minute or two? 2 minutes maybe? And we're done? And I'm sitting there thinking, we've been exposed to the world 8, 9 hours a day, minimum, not including at home, in the car, going, doing whatever. Guaranteed, every day at work, you're exposed to the world, at least 8 or 9 hours a day. For me to believe that anybody walks in this church every time on a regular basis as a whole and just unplugs from the world and just dives right in to plugging into the Lord and in under 90 seconds, and they're done, merits me to believe there's a problem. That merits me to believe there's a problem. There's obviously something here not correctly understood. So when we look at things and how we analyze things, and you just think about it. My grandmother, I wish I'd get her to come tell you all, but she can name vividly times as a child that her and all the rest of the kids or whatever up there on the farm would be outside playing. And across the ridge, which would be like from here over to the other side of the 58, they could hear somebody over there on the other ridge praying. They could hear it. But the interesting part was I did go back and ask her recently. I went back and asked her, I said, do you remember how long? She said, oh, it was a while. She said, I could remember us going and playing and just kind of used to it, so you kind of maybe faded it out. But then it would come back and you'd hear it echo. Seemed like 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, you'd still hear it. You could still hear somebody somewhere, and they knew who lived on them ridges, so they probably could tell you who it was. But they could still tell us that, yeah, they remember so-and-so praying, and that maybe 30 minutes later, they're still going. Still going. So to come into church, and I'm not downing what we do, I'm saying that to come into church and think that we're doing anything in 90 seconds, 2 minutes, and we're done, I can't grab that. I can't even grasp that that's really it, because we've been exposed so much in 1 week, just at 8 hours a day, that to come in here and unplug from that, there's just some things that goes on in your life you don't let go of. You just don't easily say, I'm done. If Courtney gets mad enough, she'll carry it all of her life. She'll never let it go. See? So, I mean, you just think about it. She'll never forget. Elephant mind. But you just think about all of that exposure in 1 week. You can't just unplug from that in a matter of seconds. I mean, it don't come like that. All to say that I'm going to ask you 2 words first. Let's look at 2 words. What does this word mean? You can't. What does that can't? What does that member? What does that member to say as the definition? What do you tell me what that word means? Give me a definition for that. Huh? Okay. Anything else?
Can't be done.
Okay.
Can't use the word to define it.
Rick did. He just told you it can't be done. In other words, let me give you Rick's clarified definition. What he's saying is, you're not able to. You're unable to do it. The two main things you look up, if you look up cannot, is going to be unable to, or you're not allowed. That's the two very derivatives. Now, one more word. Tell me what this one means.
Ain't gonna do it.
Okay. Anybody else?
Just refusal.
Okay. Refusal is a good one. A negative intention or even something in the future, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Will not or won't. So we got can't and we got want or won't.
Don't volunteer.
There's some things that your body, pretty much for most cases in general, cannot do. And I'll just give you a simple list here tonight of some things. And I know most of you is going to try this before midnight. I know that most in this room will have tried some of these before midnight. You tell me, somebody is going to try to lick their elbow and figure out it won't happen. Okay? I guarantee if we had cameras, some of y'all is going to try this. Sneezing with your eyes open. That's a good one. If you've ever tried
There's
it.
a reason why you can't do that.
I know, but I'm just saying that, you know, if you accomplish this, video it for us. Let us know. If you draw the number 6 with a hand and make a clockwise motion with a leg, you'll never get it. You'll never get that. I've had patients come in and tell me they're having a stroke, and that's the first thing I have them do. And I always tell them that if you can do this, then you are really having a stroke.
They had me to do that.
And they made Chris do it like crazy, even after 2 brain surgeries, open heart, and 6 weeks of advanced neural rehab. They was making him try to do this. Draw number 6 with one hand, draw number 6, and while doing it, make clockwise circles with the left foot.
I about got it down pat, but
At the end, he was almost able to go both directions. Lots of practice. But if I just have you do it off the spur tonight, this is some things that you just really can't do. You just can't do it. So when we dive into thought of some things tonight, I wrote these down as I got these that came to me. And I want you just to see this so we understand some things. First of all, continuing is more difficult than commencing. Continuing is more difficult than commencing. Staying with it is more difficult than to get started. Staying with it is more difficult than getting started. Anybody can get started. But if we look at a lot of things people start, how many finish it? How many in here are great at starting 5 projects and maybe not finish all of them, but one? Rick's got it. He's done. You do it too? Anybody else good at that? They start 5 things and finish one? It's real easy to get started. Huh?
Maybe finish.
But it's few things that we finish. Okay? Stay with me. Easy to start, but few things that we actually get finished. A trivia question. What lies outside the reach of your prayers? What lies outside the reach of your prayers? Anybody got an answer? What lies outside the reach of your prayers? Can you think of anything? You can ask them in Sunday school and see what they tell you, but don't ask none of these people because they'll know by Sunday. The one thing that lies outside the reach of prayers is anything outside of the will of God. If it's not in the will of God, then it's out of reach of prayer. If we learn right now that we don't have to fix everything, we don't have to accomplish it all, we don't have to try to correct it and do it all. As a matter of fact, the Bible says that God does what to the proud? The Bible says that God does something to the proud. What does he do? What's his action toward a proud person? What's the Bible say? God does what toward the proud? Y'all know this. It's easy. He gives grace. Huh? He's resisting. He's resisted the proud. But he gives grace to the humble. So you knew it. But he resists the proud. everyone, I thought about this. I've heard a preacher say this before, and this came to me the other night, in the middle of the night, this came to me. I remember sitting in a revival one night. I don't remember the name of the church. Me and Paul went over there to hear this man preach in a revival in Dandridge. And house was packed. This old man at a bean station was preaching. Very good preacher. But what he done at the end was what I remembered the best. At the end of the service, when they asked if anybody else had anything they needed to do, and nobody said anything, this is what he looked at everybody and said. He said, everyone in here that has done everything the Lord has told them to do tonight, raise your hand. That's what he said. Everybody in the house that has done everything the Lord has told you to do tonight, raise your hand. There is a hesitation comes upon us to do that. We hesitate to do what the Lord tells us to do, but we will try our darndest to try to fix everything, control everything, run everything, get everything going, move everything how we need it to be done, and try to get it all moving smooth. Everything's got to be working in motion. We do this. And I thought about the fact of we don't even see some perspective tonight. So I was thinking about the fact that there's things in the Bible that the people in the Bible never asked for. You ever think about that? There are things that the Lord God provided to people that they never asked for. I'll give you a first example in Exodus. You find in there where the Israelites asked to be provided a pillar of fire by night and a cloud by day to follow. You find that where they asked for it. You think you'll find it? No. You think about the fact, let's just back up. Here's one. The fact that, did Adam and Eve ask for clothes? They were trying to make their own out of fig leaves. They made aprons. But did they ever ask for clothes? No. But God provided them and He clothed them. I pulled just a list, and it was a lot more than even what I was thinking when I started going through and just examples of provisions that the people involved never asked for. Here's some examples. The promise to Isaac to Abraham and Sarah. The water coming out of the rock. Do you know out there when they decided they got drug out to the desert and they're going to starve to death and they ain't got nothing to drink? Nowhere did they ask for water. Now Moses called out to God. But the Israelites never asked for that provision. Ravens feeding Elijah. Does it ever record when he told him to go down to the brook and stay there? Did it ever say that Elijah's response was, I'm not going because I don't have nothing to eat? I need something to eat? No. Ain't in there, is it? The going down to the woman that had the barrel of meal and the cruse of oil. You ever hear the woman in panic saying, I don't have enough. I don't have enough to make for you and me and my child. You never hear her asking for that provision. All the way through. Then, do you ever find the last three, big importance here, do you ever find anything in the last three of someone asking for a way out of temptation? You remember anybody asking for a way out of temptation? Yep, God provided one. Another example, and I'll just give you this because I've got it marked, is that Romans 5 and 8. Salvation. Did anybody ask for it? Anywhere in the Bible, did anybody ask for salvation?
We know Eve was worried about it. She was wondering.
Yeah, she was worried. But we don't find anywhere in these parts that it was ever asked for any of this. I'll give it another example. The disciples never asked for the Holy Ghost. Nowhere does it say that the Holy Ghost. They questioned what's going to happen when He goes away. What are we going to do? But they never asked for nothing. There they be. If we look at just simple parts of the Bible tonight and just look at it for what it is, we do know that He says that He will send us another comforter. And then He also says in 1 John 2 that we have an advocate with the Father. So now we've got a comforter and an advocate with the Father. two different things mentioned, two different roles mentioned here. Any reason that there is mention of two different roles, one being an advocate and one being a comforter? Anybody got any ideas? Anything mentioning the difference of the roles? Well, one tells us we have an advocate with the Father. The other one says, give us a comforter.
Well, Jesus is like our attorney after he's telling God about our circumstances, he's advocating for us there in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And then the comforter, you can just depend on him for anything, for everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's right there. If you're in traffic and you're frustrated, you can calm down and you can find a way of escape and get where you need to be.
Yes. Yeah.
You can ask for forgiveness because you got too mad, or
Right.
he's just right there with you all day long.
I came up with the thinking, studying on this, that there's two things we need that are filled by these two separate roles in the Bible. There's two things you and I need that are fulfilled by two separate roles, an advocate and a comforter. Sometimes we need help on this side. We need help on this side. The weight gets too heavy to bear. The load is too hard. Life is getting too rough. We've got ourselves in some issue of some kind, and we've got ourselves in a position. We need a comforter. That's what we need, is a comforter. And then sometimes dealing with God himself, communicating, getting ourselves right and where we need to be, we need help on the other side. And that's when we need an advocate. Actually, in 1 John 2, in this very verse, he even says, if any man sin, we have an advocate. So when I need help on this side of things, I need a comforter. But when I'm going to God and needing help on that side of things, I have an advocate. The problem with everybody today is we're trying to be strong on all sides. We're trying to plead a case of justification to God for purification. Won't work. On this side of the world, we're trying to show that we can handle it, we can bear it, we can do it. A farmer, said one time that his sons worked on the farm with him, and he gave them something to do that he knew they would probably not even be able to accomplish. It would be literally impossible for them to be able to do. But he said that they tried their best. He said they tried as hard as they knew how and tried their best to get it done. And they come back to him and told him, said, Daddy, said, I can't do it. We tried. We just can't do it. And he said he asked them a question. Now, this is good right here. He asked them a question after they tried everything they knew. He said, have you done everything you can? Yes, Daddy, we have. We have tried to fix whatever it is that he asked them to do, and we cannot do it. And then he says, are you sure you've done everything you can? Yeah, we've sat here and worked on this thing forever. We have tried everything, and we cannot get it to work. He says, are you sure? That's what he keeps asking them. Are you sure? Yeah, we're sure. Well, that's when we come back to the problem. As he was telling this and said that he asked them, have you done everything you can? Yes, they assured him they had done everything possible. They did not want to come back and let him down that they couldn't do it because he asked them to. They didn't want to come back and make him feel like that they wasn't able and capable of doing something for him. And it tore them alive to come and tell him, we've tried everything we know to do and we can't do it. And he kept saying, are you sure? That's what he kept saying. Are you sure? That stuck with me. Are you sure? It takes us to one verse in James chapter 4. He looked at him and said, did you ask me? Did you ask me how to do it? You've tried everything you know how. You've tried everything you know. Have you done everything you know to do? Yes, Dad. Yes, Dad. Are you sure? Yes. He said, did you come ask me? That was his question to them. Asking question was, did you ask me? See, we have great abilities. Everybody in here can do Christian aerobics. You know what aerobics is? Anybody ever done aerobics? No? Well, then you all know these. What do you think aerobics consists of? What do you think? You've seen it on TV or something.
Stepping, jumping.
Yeah. All this movement, right? All this movement. Christian aerobics is when people are getting down with that load on them and just shortly come right back up off that altar and get right back up with that same load. Go back down again and get right back up again. What do they do in aerobics? We're going to do 20. We're going to do 20 squats. We're going to do 10 reaches. Christian aerobics is where we're getting down with that load, and then we're getting right back up, and we've still got that load. Carrying the same thing with us. Joshua come into this play when he got his backside handed to him, and he leaves Ai, and he comes into the town of Jericho. And what I think's interesting about this is that first it was Jacob that ended up with this. Now it's Joshua. And when we get to this part of the Bible, there's one important thing. He comes up and it says that there's a man stood over against him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went unto him and said unto him, Art thou for us or for our adversaries? And he said, Nay, but as captain of the host of the Lord am I now come. And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and did worship, and said unto him, What saith my Lord unto his servant? And the captain of the Lord's host said unto Joshua, Loose thy shoe from off thy foot, for the place whereon thou standest is holy. And Joshua did so. Anywhere else that you know in the Bible that talks about loosening your shoe from your foot? Anywhere else you can think of in the Bible that same instruction? Okay. Any others? I knew that was going to be an example. Any other examples of instruction about a shoe on the foot? When I read this, it came to my mind that that's not what he told Moses. I went and looked it up because I had that on my mind. You're in the right track. However, when the burning bush, when he got up there to it, God told him to take off his shoes. Because the ground that you're standing on what? Holy ground. But take off your shoes. But in the captain of the Lord's host commands, take the shoe off of thy foot. Does anybody else know where this is located in the Bible?
Is it where Jesus tells disciples if they go into a land?
That's dusting off their feet. Not in the shoe. We're talking about 1 foot.
You talking about Ruth or?
There we go. There we're at.
Like, covenant or something?
We get to the book of Ruth, and we find the exact same thing given to her. And I pulled, let me go back to Ruth. Ruth chapter 4. And I'm going to give you this example right here when I get down here to, everybody turn to Ruth chapter 4. We'll read these few verses right here so you can see something interesting. Same instruction to Joshua from the captain of the Lord's host to take off a shoe from his foot, not shoes from his feet, but a shoe. In Ruth chapter 4, Boaz went up to the gate and set him down there, and behold, the kinsman of whom Boaz spake came by, unto whom he said, Ho, such a one, turn aside, sit down here. And he turned aside and sat down. And he took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, Sit ye down here. And they sat down. And he said unto the kinsman, Naomi, that is come again out of the country of Moab, selleth a parcel of land which was our brother Elimelech's. And I thought to advertise thee, saying, But it before the inhabitants and before the elders of my people, if thou wilt redeem it, redeem it. But if thou wilt not redeem it, then tell me that I may know, for there is none to redeem it beside thee, and I am after thee. And he said, I will redeem it. Then said Boaz, What day thou buyest the field of the hand of Naomi, thou must buy it also of Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of the dead, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance. And the kinsman said, I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I mar mine own inheritance. Redeem thou my right to thyself, for I cannot redeem it. Now this was the manner in former time in Israel concerning redeeming and concerning changing. For to confirm all things, a man plucked off his shoe and gave it to his neighbor, and this was a testimony in Israel. And the kinsman said unto Boaz, Buy it for thee. So he drew off his shoe. Not shoes, shoe. What is a near kinsman?
Relative.
Okay, can be. Any others? What's a near kinsman? Roger's on the right track. Any other ways you want to explain what a near kinsman is? As is labeled in the Bible. If we look at the breaking down, next of kin, close relative, is responsible for rescuing, protecting, and redeeming family members. According to Levitical law, a near kinsman would redeem land lost due to poverty and ensure the family name continued. An example is what we just read. Boaz served as the near kinsman for Ruth and Naomi, buying their land and marrying Ruth. But representing redemption and is used to describe Jesus Christ as the ultimate kinsman redeemer who rescues humanity. Here we have the example of Boaz, and the near kinsman takes off his shoe. One thing that we find in this very part of the Bible is that once they meet at the gate, and he says, the kinsman says, I'll redeem it. This is what he says. And informs him that buying land also requires to marry Ruth to raise up the name of the deceased in his inheritance. He declines, stating he cannot do that without ruining his own inheritance. And the custom of transferring the right of redemption involved a man plucking off his shoe and giving it to his neighbor. Joshua, by the captain of the host of the Lord, is told to do the same thing. Take off a shoe. Take off your shoe. This was a better way in 2026 of saying a lawyer drawing up a contract and everybody signing it to agree. In biblical days where they didn't do that, you took your shoe off and you gave it to them, and that was your signed contract. You gave them the shoe, they kept the shoe. That was the signed agreement, contract in Bible days, was the taking off of your shoe. Joshua, sitting here at the wall of Jericho, coming in, meets the captain of the Lord, the host of the Lord, where he is asked to do the same thing. I want you to put yourselves in Joshua's shoes because we're getting ready to see exactly why that I'm bringing this up tonight. Joshua's set is that he just got it handed to him in Ai. Now he's coming into to the wall of Jericho here where he's got his next feat that we know. And there's one statement, if I'm going to put into my own words, that would be what Joshua is saying when he takes his shoe off in Joshua chapter 5 and gives it to the captain of the host of the Lord's army. He is saying this very statement. He is saying, I can't do this, but you can. I can't do it, but you can. That is an act of surrendering. He is surrendering to the captain of the host of the Lord's army by taking off his shoe. Joshua's job after Moses was to do what? Lead the people. Fight the battles. Take them on. Get them into the promised land. Take them on in there. And he's met up to one that's got his sword drawn, ready to fight. He is at the entrance to Jericho, and here he is looking at Joshua, and Joshua sees, as the Bible records in Joshua 5, that he's got his sword drawn, and he's ready to fight. And Joshua asked him, as we read, who are you with? Are you with us? Are you with the adversaries? And he says who he's with is with the captain of the host of the Lord's army. Take off your shoe, because the ground you're standing on is holy. Every day in our lives, everywhere we live, the Lord's looking at us and asking that very same thing. We're propositioned with this same thing. How much do you practice the very thing that is stated by Joshua taking off his shoe? I can't, but you can. We take all these things. Just think about this for a minute. We take all these things in our lives. Children, our family, dreams, burdens, and we try to deal with that and carry that and manage that. But how long do we get to understanding that our practice, the same as Joshua, is when we get up to the point that we realize in life that we have to practice this very concept of saying, kick off a shoe and say it. I can't do this. I cannot do it. What did we say cannot means? I am unable. I cannot do it. I am unable to do this. Will not and won't, we said, was a refusal, right? That's what you said, refusal. We're not willing to do it. But to say to the Lord, I'm going to take my shoe off. I'm giving it to you. This is my contract, biblical terms and biblical days. I'm giving you the contract of surrender that I can't do this. I am unable to. How many people do you hear in a normal day say, I can't do that? You ask people to do something, I can't do that. Well, I can't do that. I asked somebody the other day to do something. He said, I can't do that. If I got on a ladder, I'd fall off. How much do we use the word can't in general conversation language that it's not that we aren't able to do something, it's we don't want to. We're not wanting to try. We don't want to try. But when we go to the Lord, how much do we go to the Lord with this concept of going and actually seeing that we're willing to seal the contract and transfer the ownership over to Him and let Him do it? How much in life do people go through life and they're never willing to transfer the ownership over and take that formal, symbolic contract and finalize it and say, Lord, I cannot do this. I cannot do it. I am unable. It's not that I'm not willing. It's not that I've not tried. I am unable to do it. In 2 Samuel 15, there's even representation of this for a state of servitude, where it talks about that those slaves were in deep mourning, something about deep mourning in 2 Samuel 15, and they often went barefoot. The Bible records in 2 Samuel 15 that those slaves went barefoot as part of their humility to what they were serving under. But do you know how many people get right up to the door? Now, first, let me make this comical. How many people you see walk up to that and pull? Teresa, what's he doing back there? You did it? How many people go up to that and they pull? They pull. And it won't open. Have you ever thought to yourself, dummy, you're looking right at it and it says push. You ever thought that in your mind, like, what am I doing? I can't get it open. What am I doing? But I think a lot of times we get right up to the door that God's going to put in front of us, and we're just pushing against it. But we're not going up to the Lord and say, I can't open that. I cannot do it. You want it to happen? You are the door. You are the door. How many times do we get to that door and we're pushing on it, but we never pray for the Lord to open it? We never pray for the Lord to open it. I love the fact that the Bible records one prodigal. I looked this up this week because I was thinking on it the other day. How many examples of a prodigal is in the Bible? Anybody know? How many examples in the Bible is there of a prodigal? Anybody got something they want to throw? My Bible only mentions one. And he came home. Is that not true? He left, spent all his money, ate with the hogs, and when he decided, heck with this, he come home. It don't record anywhere else another example of a prodigal. Anywhere. One time does the Bible mention about a prodigal, and he come home. See, if we'll ever get to the point in time, as the Bible even tells us, that we can start getting back to the time of admitting that we cannot do it. We cannot do it. When we get back to the point that our pride and proud selves and everything else we want to say when we get back to the point of being able to admit that we cannot do this, you cannot live your life any way you want to. You can't live life any chosen way because that's what you want to do. You can, naturally speaking, you can choose to do anything. But if God wants things done in his strengthened ability so that he gets the glory for it, then we have to start admitting, I can't do it. I can't do it. But you can. I love the fact that in Psalms, David said in Psalm 61, the very thing that comes to my mind, and I put this on here, that he even says, from the end of the earth will I cry unto thee when my heart is overwhelmed. Here you go. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. See, somewhere in our lives, we've got to the realization is it's going to be me learning by visual learning experience, meaning I'm trying to do something and it fails. Or we actually just come to the realization from watching the world around you that how many people do you know in life right now are out in the world and they keep trying and trying and trying and they keep failing and they fail and they fail. They can't keep a job. They can't stay out of trouble. They can't get away from something harmful in their life, addiction, alcohol, whatever. They try. How many times do you know people? How many times did you go to a recovery? A 12-step program.
About 34 times.
3 or 4 times through a 12-step program. Even went to one of the inpatient places, wasn't it? Yeah.
Isaiah's house.
Isaiah House. 3 or 4 times. Relapse, as the word is used in recovery. Relapse. How long is it going to take us in our own lives if you don't have an addiction problem, an alcohol problem, a drug problem, but you've got a problem, it's called sin. How long is it going to take us to keep dwelling around and dragging it on us before we realize, I can't do it. I cannot do it. See, the problem is in sin, you're tempted. And how much temptation do you think you're under? I'll tell you this, it's more than what your physical body can handle. I believe right now that the devil will tempt you above what he knows it takes because his job is to succeed. He's great at persistence. He's going to do everything he can to put you over the limit so you'll do it. Now, the Bible says that there is no temptation greater than a way of escape, that he makes a way of escape. But the temptation's still there. You escape it, but the temptation is still there. That comes from a mindset of getting to the point that we have to get to where we understand that we have to say, I can't, but you can. We have to get ourselves into a position that we understand cannot means we are unable. You know that it's not a weakness to say, I can't do that. When the farmer talked about, I remember when he told the story about how bad upset his boys were, they tried everything. And could not fix whatever he asked them to do. And he knew that they wouldn't be able to do it. They tried every way they knew how. And he said, are you sure you've done everything? Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. Very next thing is he said, you didn't ask me. So the Bible says that we have not. Because we what? Ask not. It amazes my mind to know that God already provisioned all these things on that list for the children of Israel, Adam and Eve in the garden clothed, water out of the rock, promised from Isaac to Abraham and Sarah. All these things God gave without asking. If he's going to do that much already without even being asked, how willing is he to do what you ask? How willing is he going to fight your problems in life when you come to the realization of you have to come, just like Joshua, you got to take that shoe off. That shoe's got to come off. You've got to forfeit the ownership of your problems. You've got to give up what you now realize you can't take ownership of anymore because you cannot do it. And there's plenty of things in here that some of us probably are unable to do, and others in the room are able to do. Roger and Robert can build a house from 0 up. How many of you all can do that? We wouldn't know all the parts and steps. We might get YouTube certified and 5 years later figure it out, but We're not going to be able to do it like that. On the same token, you got other people in the room. Robert and Roger won't be able to teach math and physics in the high school, college level. They know measurements, metrics, important stuff. But you say that, think about that. There's stuff in here some of you cannot do and others can. All day long. Surgical procedures, I'm good. We'll do it. If any of y'all want to try it, let me know. I'll get somebody to volunteer. But you think about it for a minute. Think about it. There is always things that you cannot do. You're just unable to. It don't matter if it's just because you don't know and you're unlearned, or you're physically unable to do it. Whatever it is, there's things you cannot do. But do we realize, have we got to the level of understanding that it don't matter how much I know I can't do it. It don't matter how much I realize it's something I cannot do. It's still sitting there because I've not took my shoe off. What do you think that is for the Lord to sit there and watch one of his own children suffer through all of the miserable things life likes to throw at us and the world wants to put us through? And the whole time I can just see him sitting there saying, did you ask me? Because we want to cry. Now, the human nature is we want to pity for it and say, Lord, I've tried to fix it this way, and Lord, I've tried to do it that way, and, I've even done something that some way other people have done it their way. I tried that. That didn't work. I've done all these things, and it won't work. But you never come to the Lord and says, I cannot do it. I'm unable. Take the shoe off. Surrender. And transfer the ownership of it to the Lord. How many people you think in 2026 are practicing that? The I can't, but you can. How many people you think practice that in 2026? I'm willing to say that, just from my own knowledge of the Bible and prayer, that 2 minutes on the altar is not doing much. It's not creating a lot of power. What do y'all think? How many people you think pray only when they're at church? Huh? There's a study out, and the percentage is over 75%. That most people have admitted that almost all of their prayer is only when they're at church. They expect a blessing from the singers, and they expect the preacher to preach something out of the Bible that's going to move them because they're looking at it like a spectator sport. But none of them have came to the realization to admit and say, I'm failing at this because I cannot do it. I am failing at life and how I'm trying to live it because I cannot do this all on my own. And the whole time I can just see the fact that of all the Lord's done gave us today, right here and right now, all the Lord has provided us, and we never asked for it. We've never asked for it. Have you ever thought about how much that you've never prayed or thanked the Lord for that he's already done? How much the Lord has already provisioned and provided to us today, since this morning when at daylight first break, just till then till now, and that's a few-hour window of the day. How much the Lord has already provided and provisioned us that we probably have not thanked him for or asked for. We probably never asked him to let me see another day. Now, I'm going to use this as a reference because Rick Turner's here. So with him being here, I'm going to use this as a reference because this is exactly what came to me. I know without a doubt that there's times in my mind he has repetitively, same as Lois, repetitively gave prayer requests for some of his family. And it's sitting here in witness in the last, I'll say 6-10 years. Steve, Roger, some of these others that's here, you all, we've seen them sitting in this door. Michael Smith, your brother, who else? Ronnie. Who else? We've seen them. They're sitting here. That's not ammo for me to say, I can't save them. I can't reach whatever they're looking at. I can't reach them and know what the problem is. I don't even know what the problem is. I don't know if there's anything. I don't know what anything goes on in their life. Rick does. He's around them the most. He knows more than I do. But I do know enough about the one that can, that I know better than to try anything my way. I don't dare try that. I'm not trying nothing my way. Now, I know because Rick spends time with them. They chop firewood. They're at his house. They're around. Evidence is coming off of what him and Tony's doing because they're coming through the door. That tells me it works. That tells me the effort's working. But how much do we live our lives not even thanking him for what he's gave us that we've never asked for? To learn that we cannot do this. We cannot live life. So many people right now in churches all over our place are trying to live life how they want it. Comfortable. You know how many people love convenience? If they can do it on their phone, they won't go and type it on the computer. If they can voice message and let it type it out, they won't type it. Convenience is wonderful. Some people, that's what Robert was talking earlier, some people would sit at home and watch church streamed on their TV before they would get up, make the effort, and come. People do that. But when we realize to the fact of that all of that is our strength, that we're trying to make stronger and show who we are. I'm resilient. I can stand up to whatever the devil throws. I can do it. It don't matter what he throws at me. I can handle it. I'm not going to give in. That mindset right there is nothing the Lord's going to do anything with. That mindset right there is nothing the Lord's willing to make strong. Because he says that in our weakness, his strength is what? Made perfect. His strength is made perfect from our weakness. We have to practice. I can't, but you can. We are so unable in life to do things that we think we can do. People try things all the time. Some succeed, some don't. But you know, if we go into life with knowledge and wisdom and understanding, given to us by the one that's providing things that we never even asked for, and he still gives them to us, mercy and grace, two of those being, our lives would model a very different image tonight. You know that? We would see and model a very different image in our lives. Prayer is very misused. You know that that's the most eternal thing you can participate in is prayer. To the other side. Pray to the other side. The advocate over there and the comforter over here. The most eternal thing you can participate in is prayer. And I really, truly see and believe that many people don't practice it. I mean, seriously, they just admit in all kinds of information in the literature and surveys, they admit their prayer time is only while in church. How many hours a week do people spend in the building? 2? 4? Maybe. I don't know. I'm just guessing based off their attendance. They may be 2 hours a week, 4 hours a week, whatever. We missed 2 Sundays here due to weather. And we had church online last Sunday, so that's 40 minutes, 45 minutes in 2 weeks of anything, and we wasn't in the building. How much did God provide and make available to us that we never asked for, that he gave us? And not one time have we came up in that 2 weeks. How many people have not even looked at that and said, I need to thank you. I made it another day. Brandon's sitting here. He probably would have been dead if he kept going down the road he was going down. Drugs will kill you. Alcohol, you're going to die. I promise you, shorter than longer, you're going to die. But heading down the path that you've set on is going to shorten time. And all that time, looking back now, Brandon can say, I'm glad I'm not doing that no more. Brandon has said that. I'm glad I don't do that no more. I'm glad I'm not in that no more. I'm glad that I got away from those things, got saved, got in church, and the Mormons even tried their hardest. Actually, was it last night or night before? I think not before last. He sent me a screenshot of the message they sent him, ready for him to come to. Was it streamed? Was it a stream?
Yeah, Zoom video.
A Zoom video of their service last night. They were going to have a Zoom video service last night online live, and I mean they're on him every day. Still, right now, the Mormons are on him every day, wanting him to join in and get in there. Persistence. And all the veil to the much. There's people in that same position that Brandon's in that some, I guarantee you, have decided, you know, as much as these guys are concerned and care enough to make contact with me and stay on me about this to come, I'm just going to go down there. I'm going to get on that Zoom. I'm going to go down there. How much does it take for the devil just to plant one little thing? One little thing. And Brandon can tell you, he's read some of that literature that they've gave him. He's looked through some of it just to see what was in it, curiosity. And he found when he compared it to the Bible, it didn't match. It doesn't. He read it. He looked at it, and he looked it up in the Bible and found it don't even match. It's not even right by the book. If we don't learn now that we can't do this, and only God's going to be able to do it and us let him do the strengthening. If we don't learn that now, the problem that's coming down the path for all of us in our lives is we're going to get so weak that we'll never believe enough in Jesus to take us through some things that life's hurled. If some of them sitting in this room right now told you that they never thought they would experience the things in their lives that they've themselves been part of or dealt with in their own homes and in their own lives, I guarantee you most people tonight here would not say they were expecting it, that they just knew that was coming. That from the beginning of their lives, and I'll just give the example, Roger, I guarantee you would have never have told us in this room that he would have expected to be sitting at Vanderbilt for a heart transplant for Lois. You didn't think that was coming, did you? No. The provision was done made, and when he got down there, third day, they come in and tell you what? We got a heart. How much did the Lord done provision way out there? And we're over here trying to fix and do and meddle and create our own thing. And God's sitting there like, you can go all you want. As the Bible records, and dwell in your folly, and keep going in our ways. And the whole time, all he's saying is, did you ask me? Last week, I told you the pastor told the people, the new pastor of the church, I told you, went to every door of his church members when he first took the church in that small community. He went up and knocked on the door and he asked them, does Jesus live here? And if y'all remember, the wife was so tore down because she wanted to make sure the husband told him that they tithe. They sit on the front pew every Sunday and they read their Bibles. And he said, honey, he didn't ask none of that. All he asked me was, does Jesus live here? That's all he asked. The question tonight is, how much do we practice, I can't do it, but you can? How much do we practice that? Taking one shoe off and hand it to him and say, you can have it. I know I can't do this. You can have it. It doesn't mention any hesitation in either account that I used tonight, Ruth or Joshua, of hesitation, argument, self-opinion, self-discernment, all the things that we want to do because we want to cross all the things off our list of everything we know to try before we give it to him. None of that. Joshua, and even in the book of Ruth, mentions nothing but taking off the shoe, surrender. Give it. Give it. I always wonder, Courtney's in here, and anybody else that's ever had a child, has it ever run through your mind when you've held a newborn baby in the first 2 days of its life, of really thinking about, are you able to raise it? Does that run through your mind? Can I do this? Absolutely. Every mother I've dealt with that's delivered a baby, I've had some actually tell me, I can't do this. I can't do this. They immediately say, there's no way I can. If we realize the fact that we'll never know what that newborn child's going to face, may not even live to see what it faces, but we're never going to know what that child's going to face. The realization should come to us right then to know that the first thing we should be doing with that child is going back to the Lord and saying, I can't do this, but you can. I can't do it without you, but you can. Anybody got anything tonight?
Yes, I was talking with guys, and he told me, he said, if I know I died right now, he said, I died earlier.
Mm-hmm.
He told me what he died. I went to bed with that on my mind. I was laying there praying, and it was like, the Lord says, you gotta go to him. I said, Lord, you gotta get up early in the morning, go to work at 6 o'clock. I said, wake me up then, Lord, and I'll go talk to him. The Lord said, no. He looked at
Mm-hmm.
that was,
Mm-hmm.
got up, clothes on him. I went to him. He said, Ricky, you scared. That's scared me too, 'cause I've never done this.
Mm-hmm.
Just the fear of what he said. And I didn't tell him what he should do.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully he listened. He said he was up most of the night praying, which it was 6 o'clock before I went to sleep. I was steady praying, more than I normally do. I have to. But there was a fear that I may not have told him exactly at the time what he should do, but I do know I told him about the Lord. And I talked to him since then. Still not sure he's gonna, he's confessed the Lord, but whether he's gonna, make a change in his life, or he's gonna rededicate his life, whatever, it's between him and God. And I've talked to him, I'll talk to him some more. It was scary. Never done it before in my life. I'll tell you to do something, I guess you better do it.
I've always said that a lot of people crutch on the pastor. That if anybody ever comes to him and asks him something, I don't know, let's call the preacher or let's call the pastor, let's call somebody and check. Let's get a hold of the pastor. And I told you that's gonna be the one time that Steve's got 10 inches of snow and no power over and he ain't gonna be able to have no cell phone service. And that'll be the one time it happens. Your child comes into your bedroom and says, I'm going to hell. Are we even prepared to know that we are unable to fix that? We cannot do anything to fix that, but be prepared that it's not a surprise to us that they've come to that realization, exposure to it. And then in that instance, have you hear of a bad winter storm and everybody gets milk and bread. All they eat is milk and bread. People just eat nothing but milk and bread during a winter storm, but they go by it. They go by it because they know that storm's coming, and they're going to try to make some ability to be. People were panicking over finding kerosene the last 2 weeks. They were panicking about where to buy kerosene, and they couldn't find a heater to buy to keep in case they needed it. Buddy, they were motivated paying extra, double, for people that were selling their old heaters they didn't need and use because they were scared to death that if it went out and lasted for a while, they had nothing else to go on. They were solely on their own. They had nothing else to go on. And they sure made a lot of efforts to be prepared. The amazing thing is that he's coming back. And it's not a shock. There's no surprise when he shows up that he did not warn us. There will be no shock and surprise that people should be able to say, well, I didn't know you were coming. Surely not. It's all over the book. But the same thing as Rick's exposure to that right there is that we've been given more than enough to be prepared for things. We've been given more than enough promises of God and evidence to show us that he can and will do it. All we got to do is let him trail the path. He makes the path, we follow.
James says, count it all joy.
Yeah.
You follow diverse temptation. It works out patience.
Yeah.
Just to trust in him.
Yeah.
Because things can't get solved overnight because you got to go through a process of learning, discerning, leaning, and giving it to God.
Yeah. We are to work out our own salvation with what? Okay, it's a lot easier to say, God, I can't, but you can. Work things out much easier. Life goes so much better when we realize what we are unable to do, but he can. We got to take that shoe off. That shoe's got to come off and make that contract. I would be willing to say that the more we dedicate time for the Lord to him, the more he's willing to use us. Sharpen your tools. Get yourself ready.
You ain't got much time left to do it.
Time's running out. So when it comes right down to it, Rick had the opportunity to do something that he's already been working in and prepared for. You may get questioned by your own child unexpectedly. You may get questioned by a family member unknowingly without preparation. And we are to give an account for the reason of the hope that lies within you. I can't, but you can. Anybody else got anything tonight?
Just talking about removing the shoes off their feet. There's Isaiah's got a verse, 20, Isaiah 20, where it commands him to take off his shoes. So
Yeah, there's some different parts in the Bible where they mention it, but you'll notice the difference between shoes and shoe. That's what you catch. Moses, Isaiah, some of them say taking off their shoes, whereas one shoe means you're surrendering humility, you're agreeing to serve and forfeit your ownership, transferring it to somebody else. Anybody else tonight? Anybody?